Hey, here we are, Cairo Mafia. Look at that face. Look
Hey, how
at
you
that
doing?
face.
Hey.
I want to grab you like my grandmother, squeeze your cheeks,
I have
and
no problem with that.
yeah. Oh man, I've been growing up back east. I was in the grocery store. Oh, look at my son. And then some strange ladies pulling
Yeah,
on your cheeks. And
yeah.
oh my God.
Good days, man. Those are good days.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the old days, right? Now it's like, don't
Yeah.
touch my kid. You'll
Yeah,
get sued.
yeah, exactly. Now you're sued.
Yeah, now, man, you didn't think twice when some stranger was kissing your little kid.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, oh, that's so sweet.
We saw Sebastian Maniscalco there a couple weeks ago, but he does a skit where when somebody knocks on your door, like
Yeah,
years ago, it was company. Now it's like, who the hell's knocking on my door? And
yeah, everybody
it's
hide.
really sad. It's true. It's true. Like who the hell's that? Who's knocking on my door? Years ago, it used to be your relatives or somebody coming over.
I know,
Yeah.
and he's so funny with his body language. I mean, obviously he's animated, but he moves just the way Italian, like immigrant
Yes.
Italians move. Like,
Yes.
look
Yes.
who's here. Come
Yes.
on in.
Yes.
Bring out the Entenmann's.
Yes. Yes.
That was the old days.
Sara Lee, the Sara Lee cake. Mom would
Yeah,
put a note on it for
yeah,
company only. Don't touch.
I know. I know. It's so funny. So
Funny
hey, we're
shit.
doing a series here. So really this breaking generational patterns, man. You're building a practice or creating a generational legacy. And that's when you look at big practices aren't, first of all, they're big because they're principled, purpose driven. Second of all, they're big because you got a boatload of families, right? You're not doing it one at a time. And
Correct.
you're not creating a patient. The whole purpose and mindset is different,
Yes. I
and
post.
then,
Good.
it's
Sorry. Go
funny
ahead.
because, we look at people that coach, we look at their stats and like, dude, what happened? And this used to be the same. The benefit of having families is when everybody makes it, you break records. But when they
Right.
go on vacation or a few families don't make it that day, man, that's like shit. That's 15 to 20 people less.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
it's like the blessing or the nightmare if you're looking at numbers, right? But it's like, it's okay. They're just on vacation.
Yeah, I had posted. I try to do a post every day with a kind of a mindset on our Joe Boreal and Car Passion. But the post this week was, right, try to create a 90-day care plan rather than a 90-year care plan rather than a 90-day care plan. Like
Right.
I'm looking to create a relationship with you for 90 years, not 90 days.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what you do and what you say, which is what we're talking about, right? Creating family practice. But what you do and what you say and how you talk about everything is different. The vocabulary is different. Your forward placement is different. Your expectations are different because I'm talking to you as if you're going to be here forever rather than, hey, we're trying to get your shoulder, your neck to feel better, and then you're done, right? So it's a different conversation, and therefore your outcome's different. They're not all going to do it, obviously, but if you don't have the conversation, nobody does it. If you have the conversation and Fred and I are teaching, um, more will do it. If you suck at it, you're going to get 30%. You just because that's the human factor default. All the studies show that if you just present something, typically 30% of the people you present it to will accept what you're offering. So if you get 100 people in and 30, and you're not even great at it, but just by doing it, 30% say yes, 30% of that starts to add up. Once you start bringing a group of people in a year later, that 30% creates a practice, which, is a lifetime practice rather than you're not laying in bed going, oh my God, how many new ones I got every week. So,
Well, and you're going to work a lot harder if it's only 30%. But the
yeah,
average commitment to care across a profession, you're right, is 20 to 50%.
right.
But man, even if you're at 50, you are working way too hard. You got a marketing practice. And now, like what you said, some people say, well, I don't tell them, we're going to fix your shoulder and then we're done. People say, well, I'm going to fix your shoulder, but here's what we're going to do. And they don't hear the but. They don't hear, well, and first of all, if you have to say what you don't do, that's the first problem. If say, well, we don't just take care of pain. Well, what did you just focus on? So
Right.
the whole thing is if you have to say what you don't do, you're still in the wrong mindset. You still haven't crossed completely over the bridge. Because once you get on the other side of the Grand Canyon, so to speak, meaning the Grand Canyon being the mindset, you don't even talk about what you don't do. Why would you talk
Correct.
about what you
Exactly.
do
Like,
too? You're just
right.
like, hey man, this is just a result. You never took care of your spine and nervous system your whole life. That's the only thing you're solving is life
Right.
care. So
Let's see what's interfering with your body's ability to heal. I mean,
yeah,
okay. Look, all you guys, oh, my shoulders kill me. Oh, that's a concern. Let's see. Let's check the spine and nervous system, see what's interfering with your body's ability to heal. Like that's it, and then you're off symptoms forever.
yeah. Well, and what we're going to talk about today, the last Chiro Mafia podcast, we talked about how to get family referrals on day one, day two. And now
Yeah,
today we're going to talk about the daily visit. Now, the
yeah,
first thing is how you wire them on day one is most likely they're going to be their ultimate decision. Well, Fred, I don't agree with that because with our patient education system, people don't get it in the beginning, but then they get it. What percent? And then let's go back to Joe's 30%. 30% may commit, but here's the thing, your PVA, patient visit average. So look at your average number of office visits per week. Let's just throw some arbitrary numbers out, 200, and your average number of new patients, 5. 200 divided by 5 is 40. That's your PVA, right? So there you got a 3-month practice. You sold a 90-day program. Now you may have told them, well, this is really for the rest of your life. They didn't hear it. So your PVA isn't related as much to what you want or your intention. It's the average patient's perception of what you're telling them,
right,
right? Because you may think, well, I believe in lifetime care, but you got a 40 PVA. They're obviously not getting it with the way you're telling them. And
correct.
and this hurts because I remember the first time I looked at my PVA right out of school, man, I had 19. And I'm like, there's no way it's 19 PVA because I talk about lifestyle. And then I did the math again, 19. No way, no way. I had to do it 5 times. And I'm like, God, it's 19. And that's when I went, I need a coach.
Yeah, well, that's what you start thinking. Because you start thinking of the wins, you start thinking of the Barbara and Karen and Bob who are coming in forever, but you forget all the ones that aren't. So
Yeah,
you're
the
like,
other
oh,
nine
people
out of
come in
10
all
that
the
left.
time. They come in all the time. So
Yeah, yeah, I know. So it's all good. So what about the daily visit? Well, I'd like to set the foundation with when you're looking at getting families under care, what's the most important principle? You said it in the beginning, man. We'll go to shoulder pain. Well, let's see what's impairing your body's ability to heal.
right,
That's it. Nervous system, spinal cord, man. Spinal cord's your lifeline. Now, here's the problem. And of course, we work with a lot of spinal correction. Well, let's look at your posture. After a while, they don't care. Let's give you an adjustment. Well, that can be subjective. So,
right,
when you're talking about the spine, it's always spine nerve organ. You always finish in health. So when you talk about an adjustment, how do you get family members without working? Because it's about the effect of the adjustment. Why do you adjust the spine? Because you want to move a bone in place? Well,
right,
if you didn't, well, then do it on a dead person if that's what you want to do, because they're
right,
probably
right,
subluxated.
right.
Oh, do you want to do it because the bone's out of place, or do you want to do it to free up the spinal cord and energy so their body can heal of disease?
Exactly.
That's the problem with using an adjustment if they don't understand the principle.
Correct. Correct.
And that's why they miss. And that's why, well, my kid doesn't need an adjustment. He doesn't have back pain. Well, we talk about health. Well, and their asthma could have got better. Well, my kid doesn't have asthma, but he's
Correct.
got allergies. you know,
Exactly.
Still following the pattern. And that's the problem with let's get you adjusted as opposed let's get you healing again.
Correct.
Let's see how your body's healing.
Yes. Well, a great question to ask is how long has it been there? Like, when you show somebody stuff or you're talking to them at the table, Hey, Fred, you feel that in there? Do you remember what we talked about? Do you remember that? Yeah, how long has it been there? When would have been a better time to get that corrected? I mean, that's a really great way to start putting a timeline on that so that they can see, hey, a long time ago or when I was a kid. It creates an environment to start having a better conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the problem is when people are in pain, they have one emotional desire, you know, but
Get rid
that's
of
why you
pain.
have to reframe the pain. We do
Right,
that right in the pre-consultation. Hey, when the nerves inflame, man, that's when you have pain, right? Inflammation comes and goes, and their spine is injured and their nervous system is injured. So that's where it's like, well, you have pain. One, your spine's injured, but two, what makes you feel pain, right? What system? Your nerve.
right,
You agree? If you feel pain, you have injury to your nervous system,
right,
not just a spinal injury, right? If you didn't have do paralyzed people have pain? No. Why?
right.
Their nervous system doesn't work. So that
Exactly.
means you have injury to your nervous system. Well, would you agree that nerve also carries energy to the organ? So if you have injury to the nerves, you're getting health problems. Now I get it. You hurt, you want to be better, right? I get it. Our job is to get your body healing. That's
Right.
our job.
Because what
Get your
heals the
body
body,
healing.
right? Your body's healed by your body heals itself. So it's not, I'm not healing. The cast doesn't heal you, right?
Yeah.
More plaster, I have people say, "Oh, geez, Dr. Burrows, is there something else I can do to make it heal faster?" I go, "Well, let me ask you a question, Fred. If you put more cast or more plaster on your cast, does it make it heal any better? No. So we did the right thing with the adjustment. What does the healing? The body does the healing. So reminding them of that is so critical. But you're creating, like you're saying, you're creating and involving yourself in the right conversation.
Right. Well, and then people they have a big emotional attachment to pain. So
Yes.
the thing is you got to validate how they feel. Otherwise they'll feel invalidated.
Yes.
You got to say, look, man, you came in pain, you came in a crisis, and I get it. All you want to do is feel better. And that's where you bring in the how long, geez, man, you've been dealing with this on and off for 20 years.
Yes.
Nobody told you what I've told you in the last 2 days. And
Yes.
now you're in a crisis and you want it gone now. I
Yes.
get it. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, if I don't shave, I wear a robe and I have sandals. Like I ain't, if he walks through here, you're the first person I'm going to tell him to lay hands on.
Exactly. Exactly. It's funny you say
Other than
that.
that, I'm the next best thing.
It's funny you say that. We're so similar because right across the street from my office is Sacred Heart Church.
Yeah.
And I'll say that to people. Oh, geez, I thought, I go, what? Like I was going to adjust you once and it was going to take care of 30 years of neglect. Yeah. You know what? You're in the wrong office. You should have gone right across the street over there to Sacred Heart Church. Go talk to Father Bill, see what he could do over there. Cause that's a miracle. I go, we're working within the parameters of what your body can do, which is a miracle. I said, but if you're looking for that one and done, I said, that's across the street over there, man.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Now, here's what's so awesome, man. And I tell people this all the time, and you are certainly the master of this, is that what you just did is not patient education. Freaking pattern interruption, man. And the whole thing is like we get so serious with our doctor title. Well, it's taken 30 years and la la la. Do you really expect they don't care? Like when
Right.
you say that, they're gonna go, you know what, you're right.
You're right.
And I would say,
That's
you know
what they
what, you
say.
probably need to go over there anyway. In the
Yeah.
meantime, yeah, let's go to both. It's not that far, man. You need to go over there and
Exactly.
do some praying anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, and here's where I'd be praying. Excuse me, why the fuck didn't I do this 30 years ago?
Exactly.
That's the prayer
Exactly.
I'd be saying. Hey, God, I'm sure you told me. Now I'm
Right.
listening.
I'm here. But thank God you're here. God got you here. Let's make the best of the situation. I mean, you need to be corrected. Because not doing it, one of my favorite questions, what's your life gonna look like if this gets 5 years worse? What's your life gonna look like? Tell me, like, look how bad
For
it is now.
5 days.
Let's add 5 years to your neglect. What's it gonna look like then? Oh my God. Yeah, it's horrible. So, now is the time. Would it have been better 30 years ago? Yeah, of course. But we can't do that. But what we can do is we can do now. So let's do
Yeah.
it now. So these are a
Well, and
lot of
that's
the
the,
conversations at the table that you're going to have, obviously.
well, and here's the thing, and I think this is a general theme when you look at what you just said. Here's the thing. It's like some people are thinking, okay, let me get down to what he just said. But the reality is, what did he do? What did he do? What did he do? He made it urgent right now.
Yes,
That's
correct.
what he did. And
Yes,
so did he give him patient, was that patient education? No, see, the information is automatic. The information is automatically going to be in your message. But what Joe does so well, and what I tell doctors all the time, just be an authentic person. And if
yes,
you're a little bit of a smartass, they have more fun. They
yes,
have more fun in your answer. And the
yes,
reality is, you don't take yourself so seriously.
yes,
Authenticity sells. And
yes,
that's what I would say. The doctor title gets in your way. You
yes,
think you have to have all the answers. You think you have to have all the information. And you think because you got doctor in front of your name, you can't just be a person talking to another person
yes,
with doctor knowledge.
yes, exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the power of influence. I
yeah,
tell people
yeah,
all the time, quit taking yourself so seriously, man. Take off your white coat and your freaking badge. I don't wear a white coat. No, but in your information, you are.
yeah, yeah,
And that's why they don't resonate with it. They don't care. They know you're a doctor. I can't
right,
say I ever got a new patient because I posted my degree on a wall.
right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Trust
Yeah.
me, they know you're a doctor. They don't
Yes.
care.
Correct. Correct. They want to know if you can help them. In the end, they don't care what you do. I mean, how
Yeah, and
many
if you
people,
understand them.
right, exactly. And then once you get them to understand it, you got to lead them, and so getting back to that, your day in there, if you're leading them all the time, you're leading them to make a better decision for themselves and their family. So I mean, hey, if it's good for you, my mother used to say that, well, if it's good for Joey, then it must be good for everyone. You're getting them, leading them to that realization, right? Hey, if it's good for you, man, imagine how good it would be for the kids. So they never end up with what you have or something even more serious. I never want your kids to end up with an X-ray like that. Would you? No, of course. Better time to do it as well. Let's get them in now and get them checked and evaluated so their body has the potential to heal fully from this age rather than waiting till they're 30 or 40 years of neglect and then they're coming in looking for a miracle or sick or diseased or now they're going to have some permanent damage or permanent disability. Like it's better to get them in now. I mean, those conversations have to happen a lot all the time because they never get it. And I
Yeah.
had somebody, I'll share a story with you. Nelson Wright, his wife's name was Cheryl, and wonderful woman. They moved to North Carolina, and I took care of Cheryl for 20 something years. And Nelson was her husband. So Cheryl brought in their two kids. She had a boy, Bill, and her daughter, I think, was Elena, when they were very little. And they came in, and then they got older, and then they ended up having kids. So I saw them. Nelson would come in with her I say every single time, 99% of the time. He would sit in a hot seat and I would adjust Cheryl and he wouldn't get adjusted. He wouldn't get checked. And I would say it to him every single time he came in. She came in every Wednesday. And I'd say, Nelson, today's the day. I knew today was going to be the day. I was so fired up this morning. I said, Nelson's getting x-ray today. Nelson's going to get checked today. So nope, 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 nope. 17 years. 17 years. He came in one day. I made my joke, something, whatever. And yeah, I'm going to get checked today, doc. I filled out the paperwork already. I was like, oh, like Fred Sanford, like, oh my God. All right, I'm excited. Let's get you evaluated. I adjusted him probably 2 weeks. I see him 3 times a week, about 2 or 3 weeks in. He says, doc, he said, he didn't even put down that he had migraines. He goes, I haven't had a headache since I started. I said, well, talk to me about the migraines, the headaches. He goes, oh, they got migraines. He said, yeah, I've had them for almost my whole life. He said, I get one, pretty much 2 or 3 times a week. And I was like, Nelson, imagine that you could have felt that good for 17 years. He goes, yeah, he's got asthma, neck pain, feeling like crap. Why are you feeling better? Because my brain can talk better to my body. I mean, he knew it because he'd been hearing me talk to his wife
Oh,
for
yeah.
17 years. And he's like, my brain can talk better to my body. He goes, you're right, doc. I should have got in here 17 years ago. I asked him because I want to learn. I go, Nelson, what could I have said to you 17 years ago that would have made the decision then? He goes, I don't know. I don't know what you could have done. He goes, I guess I was stubborn and thinking about my family, and I just didn't think I needed it. I didn't think it was going to make that big of a difference. But now I'm like, wow, I should have been in here 17 years ago. So my attitude is they never get it. I never stop talking tick. Fred doesn't either. You're leading them. Don't attach yourself to the outcome. Every day you earn the right to be their chiropractor next time, this time. Every day give them value. Every day talk about segment organ function. Every day lead them to what you're correcting. Every day lead them that their body's healing better. Every day say something good to them. Have something positive. You look good. You feel good. Great adjustment. Do something positive. Give them a good experience. And eventually you'll lead them, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, you'll lead them to a healthier life for the rest of their life. So
Oh, absolutely, man. And when you look at that story, what's the most important thing that we get out of that? You never quit.
never
You
quit.
never stop. Like you
Yeah.
think there was probably times 3 times a week, two or twice a week, and then once a week for 17 years,
Yeah.
52 weeks times 17.
Yeah.
You're over 600 times
Right.
and I'm sure you said it differently.
I
So
did.
so that's the whole thing. It's like, when I talk to people, someone on coaching calls, well, I talk about their kids. I'm like, how many? And we set them up, right? How many times have you talked to them? Oh, I don't know, a lot. I don't know, 10, 12, 15. I don't know, probably about 12. And when was the last time you said something? Oh, it's been a couple months. So what you did was you found 12 things that didn't work, but you weren't willing to try 13.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Or doc, I keep talking to this person and I just can't get them bringing their kids in. What should I say? And I'm like, well, how many times have you talked to them? So the
Right.
first mindset shift is don't say the same thing you said 12 times.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
That ain't
time
working.
to do it differently. And
Yes.
and you're the king of this as well. It's like if you don't know what to say, there's 3 letters, one word. That if you say this one word every time you don't know what to say, they will tell you what to say. And that's it. Why? I'm just curious. You come in here and you watch your wife get adjusted all the time. I'm just curious why. What's First of all, why do you come here? Well, I want to support
Right.
my wife. Right. And what are you thinking, man? What's in the way? Because
Yeah.
you could probably
Exactly.
teach my workshop this week with all that you've heard.
Right.
You could probably teach. You want to teach the workshop? I'm just curious. I bet you would give it better than a bunch of patients that are here.
Exactly.
So if you know all that, why do you just sit there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, and that's a responsibility question that
Yes.
now they have to search within themselves.
Yes.
And then their answer is going to give you a clue
Yes.
as to what to say next.
I learned that you like the answer is only no if you don't ask. Like it's
Exactly.
always no. It's always no if you don't ask. So
Absolutely.
So I'm not trying to badger you, and sometimes you got to make it fun. You can't make it, death serious all the time. But my thinking in my head was I can make it all about today, and if they say no, I can feel rejected, or a better game, and it's a game in my fucking head, and I'll say 30 times. I'm going to ask everybody 30 times. It's going to take 30 times before they say yes. So I immediately start with that in my head. It's 30 times. And when they say no 31 times, then I'll go, oh, you know what? He must be a 60. He's got to be a 60. He's one of those guys that's a 60. He's not a 30, he's a 60. I got to ask him 30 more times. So in my head, I play that game. I never approach it where I'm going to ask Fred once and he's going to bring everybody in. I'm going to ask Fred nonstop, non fucking stop until he comes. Your wife's coming in, your daughter's coming in. Great. Fred's not coming in. Hey, Fred, today's the day. Hey, Fred, did you see that article today? Yeah, it's Fred Chiropractic Wednesday, man. Yeah, it's every Wednesday we have to take a new patient named Fred. Today's your day, man. Let's do it. Let's get you checked. Like, I'll come up with every freaking way to come up and, make it fun, get him checked. Listen, I'll do it at no cost today because you and your family have been coming in for so long. Let's get you checked. No charge. What do you got to lose? Let's check. Let's look at those x-rays. I just keep pushing it until, until they say stop. And I don't know that anyone is in all my years, I don't know that anyone ever said stop asking. I don't know that
That's
that's
because you
ever
make
happened.
it fun.
Yeah, but I just keep asking. Just keep asking.
Well, I was working with this team a couple of weeks ago. Well, I work with them every week, but this came up a couple of weeks ago. And that's where it's like, you never accept no. No
Exactly.
is not a possibility.
Exactly.
You just say it a different way. And then
Exactly.
typically, when you set the line that it's today and you don't accept no, but they say no, but you don't even hear no, what you hear is what's their mindset? Let me ask a question, or
Yes.
let me reframe it to change the meaning and emotion.
Yes.
And then they're going to tell you what to say next.
Right.
And this is the problem when patient education. Now you call it patient education, but it's really not what you're doing. You just don't give information. Your humor is pattern interruptions. You reframe everything, you make it fun, you're authentic, you don't accept no. Like these are all conviction purpose driven things, right? So you may call it patient education, but it's not really what you're doing. You're actually empowering people and using humor, and it's more of what you're doing than what you're saying. So,
Hmm.
but when you're unstoppable, then it's like, well, we're going to do this today. So tell me what the deal is. Okay, whatever his name was, Walter or what, I don't know what his name was, right? Yeah, what's going on, man? I think you should teach the workshop. I want you to,
Exactly.
I'm gonna add, let me take your picture because I'm gonna put your picture up. You're teaching the workshop this week
Exactly.
because you know it better than everybody else.
Yes.
The question is, well, everybody's doing it and not getting healthy. What is it about being a spectator that you love?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? I'm validating him. You like to
Yeah.
watch everybody else get healthy. So, dude, you're the guy that will carry the rock up the hill.
Exactly.
Who taught you that?
Right.
Did your dad teach you that? You have to suffer. You have to suffer to make other people better. Did they tell you that?
Yes. Yes.
It's like whatever, man. Like whatever it is, right? Are you done suffering? Oh, you want to suffer some more? Okay, I'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, what are they
Yes.
going to be thinking for a week? Every time he
Yeah.
gets a headache, so they're thinking about his suffering. Like you want to leave him with something, and that's when people would quit. I would leave them with something they can't forget.
Yes.
You know
Exactly.
what I
Or
mean? Because
like,
if you're
yeah.
going to quit, my voice is going to haunt you.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
gonna have to try to forget what I'm about
Yes.
to tell you. And it's
Well,
not mean. It's like, well, my other chiropractors just wanted to get rid of my pain. I'm not making them wrong. They just didn't
right.
teach them the principle, right? So I gotta say
Right.
that people had short-term goals. So they had a short-term goal for pain while you sacrificed your health.
Yes.
They didn't tell you that.
Exactly.
Do you
Exactly.
normally choose doctors that are willing to sacrifice your health?
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm just curious, is that the doctor you choose? Because that's not about the doctor, that's about them.
Exactly.
So I'm not dogging on the doctor, right? Do you normally do that? You
Right.
normally pay doctors that are willing to sacrifice their health. Why do you do that? I'm just curious. Great.
Yeah.
So the next time somebody adjusts you just for your insurance payment for that 35 bucks for the insurance and they're not addressing your health, just know that's what's going on. So
That's
they'll
a good,
thank them, and the $35 insurance payment is more important.
yeah, that's a good comment. One of the ways that we have dealt with that when it comes to insurance is people say, "Well, I'm just going to come in when my insurance company, what they cover," and I'll say, "Listen, I appreciate that. I get that. I can see where that might seem like a good idea. Budget and money is a concern." But let me ask you this, Fred: Are you glad we did an exam and X-rays?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Why and why is that? Why are you glad we took X-rays? What do
Oh,
they?
we're role playing here.
Yeah, yeah. What
How
would
are you
they
supposed
say?
to know what my problem is?
Right, exactly. So your care and the recommendation I provide is based upon your condition and the severity. I mean, if you got a big tumor, you're going to need different care and treatment than if you got a small tumor. Is that fair to say that? So you're
Yes.
glad we took x-rays, but no offense, and I'm not trying to hammer you when I say this, but under your logic, why bother taking an x-ray? Why bother even doing an exam? All I need to do is get a copy of your insurance card and I can just do that with everything. Go, look, you see me 15 times, you see me 30 times, you see me 80 times. You don't get to see me because you don't have coverage. Does that seem like a good idea as far as offering people recommendation of care? And they always say, well, no. I go, well, then why are you offering yourself that recommendation? Why are you giving yourself that recommendation? Oh, well, yeah, no, I know. Well, let's deal with the money thing. I mean, would you agree doing something is better than nothing? Yeah. So let's deal with the money if that's the problem. And let's not let the insurance carrier dictate. You think somebody's in a cubicle at Blue Cross Blue Shield going, geez, I really care about Fred. I want to make sure he gets the right care. Do you think that's what they're thinking? And they always laugh and they go, no, exactly. Who's the only people that care about your health? We do. We do. We care. So let's figure it out. And let's figure out a care plan that maybe needs to be mitigated, but can certainly address that financial challenge rather than only, the care that you're going to get and then no care. Because if you get no care, what's going to happen? Well, I don't know. Well, you're experiencing it right now. What's going to happen is what you're experiencing right now, because this is what no care looks like. What you look like is no care. Is that what
Yeah.
you want to look like? No. I mean, so that's where we take it with them. And most of them have a realization and come to Jesus. Not all of them, but that's where
Well,
I go
and
with it.
now I'm gonna go through the boring part. And I know you heard what he said, and because he told a story, you can actually remember it. But if you look at what he did, first thing he did was validate him. Well, I can understand why you'd want to do that. So what's that do? Automatically aligns. Now they're going to listen. Second thing he did was he reframed. You'd say, well, this is care and it's limited. Now, if I do this for this person, this, do this, is that healthcare? Oh no. Well, first you said big tumor, little tumor,
Yes, yes.
right? So
Big
what you
difference.
did was now you're telling a story.
Yes,
And then you told a story because people remember 22 times more information from a story. And then you said this person, that person. What are you doing? You're a great storyteller. Now, Steve Jobs, one of his principles of building Apple, become a great storyteller. And that was one thing Bill Gates said about Steve Jobs. He said he would come up with this technology, and Bill was the Asperger's autism geek,
sure.
and Bill would say, Steve, there's no way that's going to work. And Steve would get up on stage and everybody in the audience would buy it because he was a great storyteller.
Yeah.
And Bill would be like, I don't know how he did that. Because Bill's in his left brain. What he doesn't
Yes,
see is he's appealing to people's emotions with stories.
yes,
So in your story, you're changing the meaning and you're getting them to a no. And then what did you do? Three words, three letters, one word. Well, why would you do this? And why?
right.
You said why, like you started like three questions with the word why.
Yes,
Now, when you ask why, what are you doing? You're giving them responsibility. And when you reframe that in a story, they're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. No, I wouldn't
exactly.
do that. Well, why would you do that? Well, I wouldn't. Well, why does that make sense? Well, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Like and you do that innately. And that's what we had to figure out because nothing else worked. Now, did you give information? Yeah. Was your intention to give information? No. Your intention was to reframe the meaning.
Correct.
And what you did innately was tell a story, ask why questions, but how did you start? You validated them first. Rather than making them wrong first, they wouldn't have heard anything. But you
Correct.
said, you know what? You pay for insurance. Anybody has an insurance thing? Step one, validate. Hey, you pay for insurance. You want to use it.
I get
I
it.
totally get it. Hey, you
Yeah,
pay every freaking month, and God damn it, when I want to use it, I want to use it.
exactly.
Isn't that how you feel?
Yeah, it's exactly how I feel.
Immediately, they're like, this person understands me.
Yes, yes,
That's why they'll listen.
yes,
Story.
yes. It's funny you say that because And I know Fred and I have had depth conversations on this a lot over the years, but that is such an enormous part. And I want everyone to really grab what Fred's saying. That initial alignment is such an important part. We're quick to, and I understand why, but we're so quick to want to tell them, we're so quick to want to not prove them right out of ego, but to get them to do what, we know is in their best interest. So we're real quick to make them wrong, and you're not. So when somebody says, I want to decrease my frequency or whatever, I urge you, and I know Fred does the same thing. We urge you to basically listen. I'm not telling you no. I'm not telling you can't do that. I always say to them, I could see where that would seem like a good idea. I could see where you're coming from. Like I always say that. It immediately takes the defense away. They
Yeah.
immediately, because some of them, it builds up a lot of courage for them to go like, oh, geez, I got to talk to Dr. Fred today and tell him so I get that. So, now they're not digging in. I'm like, listen, I'm not telling you can't do that. If that's where we're going to go with it, that's where we're going to go with it. I could see that where that might seem like a good idea, Fred. But Fred, let me ask you this question, blah, blah, blah. As your doctor, this is what concerns me about that, blah, 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 blah. Now, all of a sudden, they're coming at a place where they're not defending, they're actually getting into a conversation. And you're not going to convince them all. I understand that. But you are going to be able to lead a lot more following that skill set. And if I can convince 50 or 60 out of those 100 over the years, that's a huge number. The number, I think sometimes we anchor to people, coach, mentor, program, we're looking for the shiny object, and you want to, oh, what system do you use? Oh, so that system, is that better than this system? Or is that and you're looking at it the wrong way. Your goal is to increase your numbers. The best way to do that, are there protocols and systems that we teach that I think are phenomenal? Yes. By numbers, yes. But the beginning has to start with you. It's got to be here, and it's got to be here. One of my favorite quotes, I quote it all the time, Napoleon Hill: for no man can afford through words or acts that which are not in harmony with their own beliefs. And if they choose to do so, they fail with their ability to influence other people. You got to own it. The more you own it, then no matter what you do, you're going to be more successful at it. And then if you parallel yourself with a good coach and a good system, Fred and I obviously are the best out there. I mean, I have to say that. Then now your success, the likelihood of you having success, the likelihood of you, again, Fred and I are trying to have 90-year relationships with people. We're not trying to close people in 90 days. We're literally trying to create a lifetime relationship with you and your family. It's that tool, conversation, headspace. Now you've got a retention practice that, hey, I can go on vacation. I get somebody to come in. I'm not laying in bed worrying about, how many new ones I'm getting every week. And now I can have more fun. I have more stability. My practice, I have relationships with people. And now my practice basically runs itself, refers itself for decades. I lived it. Fred lived it,
Yeah,
36 years I was in
absolutely.
practice. So,
So what I want to do, we got to get going soon. I want
yeah,
to give you something that you can implement right now when
tangible.
you get
Yeah,
off
nuts and
this
bolts.
podcast. So there's 5 questions that can get immediate family referrals on a daily visit right now. So step one, hey, when you came here, do you know the spinal cord and nervous system was foundational life, health, body? Do you know your spinal cord was your lifeline that keeps you one alive, keeps you healthy, that's determining your health and life? Did you know that? No. Well, nobody told you. That was the first question. Nobody told you that. That's why you showed up subluxated with 18 different health problems. You never
Correct.
took care of your spine and nervous system.
Correct.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, we're the first place that told you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why you're healing.
No one told me that before.
Yeah, I know. So can you see why this is the primary healthcare system for you and your family for the rest of your
Yes.
life and generations
Yes.
to come?
Makes
Can you
sense.
see that?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Well, when you go home and kiss your wife, what am I doing? Starting with a story.
Yeah.
And you hug your kids and you're telling them you're helping them with their homework and they're bouncing on your lap. Which one of those have a spinal cord determining their health and life?
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're going to go, okay, doc, I see where you're going. Where am I
Yeah.
going? Where,
Right.
where am I going? Which one? Which one have all of them? Great. Who do you want to start with? Now, if
Yeah.
you say bring your family in, what are they going to think? Oh my God, my wife's running my kids. We got piano lessons, cheerleading lessons, we got football and hockey, and there's no way, it's overwhelming. Doc, I got to talk. No. Who do you want to start with? Start with one. And they'll go, they already know.
They already know.
They know that. They're going to
100%.
say, you know what? My
I got to get
16-year-old
Billy in
son with
here. Yeah.
allergies.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the front. And then you have to take them to the front and schedule the appointment.
Oh, that is so critical. We have so many docs, right, Fred? They're like, oh, okay, we'll go to the front. No, 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 no. Walk them up front. Here's the paperwork. Schedule them. Do it tangible. Here, do it then. Everybody wants a QR code and all that. I get it. I'm not saying there's not value there, but I'm saying do it old school. We're not old school. The old school works. Put something in Fred's hand.
Yeah.
Here's the paperwork. Fill it out. We're going to schedule them. I'm telling you, that is the most successful way to do it.
Well, I'll tell you on the old school thing, man. I think there was probably more bigger practices before there was social media,
Correct.
before when it was
Correct.
paper, and I'm not
Yes.
saying you need to be all paper because people are
Yes.
like,
Yes.
that's another thing. I'll just go over real quick. Like people are, I hate travel cards. Well, you can't use travel cards for documentation. But we had travel cards and we would lay out their care and we would highlight their re-exams and we put a date on it. So it's like whatever today's date is, April 23rd or something, I don't know. And so it'd be like, hey, you got a re-exam on May 6th. You got to have all 12 visits by May 6th.
Yes.
So you miss one, you got to make it up, dude. You know
Right.
what I mean? And the
Exactly.
patient sees it. And
Yes.
and now
Correct.
it's 700 a day. Here's the thing. People that have smaller practices, and I'm not judging, but I'm saying if you're under a couple hundred a week, you're wasting minutes.
Yes.
Higher volume practices won't waste seconds,
Yes.
right? So
Correct.
would I want to go over, type in, pull up a different screen to have show me their schedule to manage them? No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look over there. There are things hanging right there. Here's what it takes. Boom. I know if you're on track or not.
Yes.
Well, I
Correct.
know anyway, right? But that's saying it's like
Correct.
people higher volume. It's got to be simple. It's like, oh, okay, as opposed to 3 steps. Click, 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 click. Well, it pulls it up really fast. No, you had to take 3 steps over and 3 steps back. No way. I'm not taking
Alerts
three
on the
steps.
screen. MA 423. The end of the day, if you miss, my staff through the sheet, they put you on call to schedule, missed adjustment call, and they immediately put an alert up on the screen. So when you walk in and you log in and you're laying on the table, exactly what Fred's saying, I put my hands on you. I'm like, Fred missed on Wednesday, right? So I do
Okay,
the
do that move
adjustment. Fred, I
again,
wanted to
man.
talk
Do
to you.
that
You
move
missed.
again. What'd you do?
Huh?
Do that move again. You went like that.
He
That's
missed.
it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
I
it.
know. That's why you saw 700 a day
Yeah.
because you're not willing to take 3 steps.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's where docs at lower volume, you think you're doing everything right and you're wasting so much time. In the time you took 3 steps over there, I could take 3 steps to another table and adjust a baby.
Yes.
By the
Yeah.
time you went there, plugged in something and walked back, I could have adjusted a kid.
Yes. One thing I want to add, I know we only got a minute here. Fred and I do these calls every couple of weeks. And for those guys that listen, we're not the biggest podcast out there for chiropractic, but just there's a reason we're on here doing this. We understand the detrimental effects of subluxation. We understand the consequential effects of it. And, if I never punch a clock and Fred never punches a clock again a day in his life, we're okay. We're okay financially. We're here because I know Fred feels the same way. We were so blessed to have mentors and teachers and other people that took us and said, hey, Joe, hey, Fred, come on over here. Let me show you this. Let me do this for you. Let me show you what you're doing wrong. So, we're able to sit down. You ever been to a party and you look at somebody, they look like just like an average Joe, whatever, and all of a sudden they pull up the piano and they play like a symphony. You're like, holy shit, it's unbelievable that this guy could just sit down. He looks like anyone else. And Fred and I are those two people. We can open up a box and see hundreds of people in a day within a short amount of time. And I don't say that to impress you. I want to impress upon all of you that are listening. We are here for one reason, so that the world receives chiropractic care. I see all this great stuff happening with Kennedy. It's awesome stuff. I get rid of the dyes and the toxins, and I'm not minimizing at all. But none of that is going to get people adjusted. And I want us just to grab that that's great for humanity, and we need to do that. But if we remove dyes and he puts rules that, there's less chemicals in our food, that's great. But that doesn't get more people on a chiropractic table.
Yeah.
Our conversation, our talk, the way we communicate, understanding the ramifications of subluxation, that's what's going to get them on the table. That's what you do as a chiropractor. Every man, woman, and child suffers from the detrimental neurologic effects of subluxation. Fred and I are here to teach you how to have a huge practice or a better practice so that you can fulfill that mission and allow people to heal, run, and regulate the way God and the universe had them intended. So just let that set in sometimes, because
Yeah.
we're not here to, we're having fun and we're making jokes and we're going over stuff, but the nuggets that come out, and what we're sharing literally will change every life you touch.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Well, we got to rock and roll. So
Yep.
if you're
Rock and
following
roll.
this series, hopefully you got something on a daily visit. Minimally, you got mindset and a couple action steps and some great, great stories from Joe. So
And you too,
next
brother.
time we'll be doing the re-exam. So check in on the next episode. All right,
Talk to you
love you
next week.
guys.
Share, like, share, like.
Share, like, share, like, share, like. Peace, you guys. Take
All
care.
right.